Hey everyone, welcome back to The Dialogue Effect, the podcast where we talk about how dialogue can strengthen relationships and truly create change. I'm Jackie, your host. This show is for anyone looking to become a better communicator at work, at school, at home, or really anywhere you find yourself talking to people. So, today we are I'm really excited for this episode. Today we are going to dive into two TED Talks that absolutely crack me up. These guys are hilarious, very successful, and they're very on trend because the theme of our episode today is the power of delivery in communication. Delivery is everything. How you say things, it's everything, right? So today we're going to talk about storytelling, tone, your presence, and how even nonsense can sound smart if it's delivered with confidence. So let's just dive right in. I'll give you just a little bit of context before we do this. So the first TED Talk that I'm going to show you, it's by somebody named Andrew Stanton. And if you don't know Andrew, you definitely know his work because he is responsible. He's written many screenplays, and you know some of them, some including Toy Story, Wall-E, A Bug's Life, and Monsters, Inc. That's just some of the few, all the good ones, at least. And this is really just why storytelling matters beyond entertainment. Storytelling is a lot like dialogue, right? It's talking to people, but it's also listening, and it's involving persuading and leading people in and connecting with others, kind of just like how storytelling is. Storytelling has been around since the dawn of time, and it'll never die, just like dialogue. So let's just jump right into it.
A tourist is backpacking through the Highlands of Scotland, and he stops at a pub to get a drink, and the only people in there is a bartender and an old man nursing a beer, and he orders a pint, and they sit in silence for a while, and suddenly the old man turns to him and goes, "You see this bar? I built this bar with my bare hands, found the finest wood in the county, gave it more love and care than my own child, but do they call me McGregor the bar builder? No." Points out the window. "You see that stone wall out there? I built that stone wall with my bare hands, found every stone, placed them just so through the rain and the cold, but do they call me McGregor the stone wall builder? No." Points out the other window. "You see that pier on the lake out there? I built that pier with my bare hands, drove the pilings against the tide of the sand, plank by plank, but do they call me McGregor the pier builder? No. But you fuck one goat."
Now, the reason why this works so well, it's a lot of different factors, right? Why his joke works so well. He's in this authority role, right? And you as the audience member, regardless, if he's like in charge of you, he's on stage, he's speaking to a room full of people, so he must be in some sort of role where people look up to him, and he has something important to say, and so you are like leaning in as this audience member, like right off the bat, listening. This is going to be insightful. This is going to be worth it. This is going to be meaningful. And then bam, it's this hilarious joke that totally takes a left turn. And that is just one example of the power of delivery. It was carefully crafted. He put in the pauses where he needed to, and then he successfully landed this. And just like in joke telling and storytelling, you adapt to the way that you say things, just like in dialogue. You adapt to how you want the outcome to be, just like in dialogue. You may slow down your pacing when you really want to get your point across. Or sometimes I'll think about, right. I'll think about something out loud like that to act like I'm being, introspective about something. Or another time I'll lower my voice while maybe trying, maybe in the middle of a conflict so those things don't escalate. Where, in terms of if I'm on a stage speaking or speaking to a podcast, speaking during a podcast, I'm obviously going to intensify my volume and heighten my voice and use more hand gestures and features, especially if I'm talking about something that I'm passionate, right? So it's the same thing in dialogue where to get your point across, sometimes you have to adapt how you're saying things and the delivery of what you're saying, right? Okay, now I am going to bring you to another part of this TED Talk where Andrew, I think, perfectly encapsulates why I love dialogue so much. So,
because life is never static. In 1998, I had finished writing Toy Story and A Bug's Life, and I was completely hooked on screenwriting. So I wanted to become much better at it and learn anything I could. So I researched everything I possibly could, and I finally came across this fantastic quote by a British playwright, William Archer. "Drama is anticipation mingled with uncertainty." It's an incredibly insightful definition. When you're telling a story, have you constructed anticipation? In the short term, have you made me want to know what will happen next? But more importantly, have you made me want to know how it will all conclude in the long term? Have you constructed honest conflicts with truth that creates doubt in what the outcome might be?
The quote here that stood out to me: drama is anticipation mingled with uncertainty. And Andrew brings this up regarding his storytelling, but talking about dialogue, this is why I love dialogue so much, because people are your story. People are this real life story. When you get into a deep conversation with someone, it's like a real life movie to me. Hearing someone talk about their struggles, their conflicts, their ups and downs. I mean, talk about an anticipation mingled with uncertainty. That's exactly what it is. All of these movies and characters, these are based off of real life events. I mean, whether it says it or not, I mean, there's always some type of show or movie or scene where it's involving real life. And that's why I value deep conversation so much with somebody, because it is real. It is like a show, and dialogue is like it is like storytelling, because you are truly diving into someone else's world, right? Their emotions and their conflicts and how they've grown or what's hurt them. And just like a good story, we want to keep listening because we want to see how it turns out. However, what I value about the second quote that he brings up: storytelling is constructing honest conflicts with truth that creates doubt in what the outcome might be. And I really value this quote because, just like in movies, just like in shows that mirror real life situations, not everything is wrapped up in this like perfect little bow. Not everything has a happy ending. Because real life doesn't always have a happy ending. Real life isn't always wrapped up in this perfect little bow. People grow, and they learn and they make mistakes, and sometimes we can only just like look at the lesson at hand, and not everything is this Disney movie. So, um, regardless of all of that, I think that we can really just focus on our gifts and what make us what makes us who we are. And I like to use an example of when I was growing up. I mentioned this last episode. I was like always known as this chatterbox. And I probably still am. And however, I people failed to realize, the grown-ups that told me that I was this chatterbox. They failed to realize that I wasn't always the one talking. I was always the one in conversations, but I wasn't always the one speaking. I always had this need and this want to hear people's stories, and my gift was that I was able to get people to talk to me, whether that be that I maybe came off as chatty in the beginning. And so looking back, I really do value that. I really do value that gift, and I can see that I wasn't, that as a little girl, even I wasn't just talking to talk. And sometimes people just talk to hear themselves, and that's also okay. But I wasn't doing that, and I'm still not doing that. I want to hear people's story, because dialogue, successful dialogue, is not just about talking. It's really about listening and how you make people feel. So, all the chatty little girls and boys out there, that all the yappers out there, you're not alone, and you truly have a gift, right? Because you can probably get other people to open up, in situations where they wouldn't. So, one more thing to touch on before moving on that I think sets a really good tone and fits into the theme of today of good dialogue and storytelling, is why the character Woody truly works.
Another fundamental thing we learned was about liking your main character. And we had naively thought, well, Woody in Toy Story has to become selfless at the end, so you got to start from someplace, so let's make him selfish. And this is what you get.
What do you think you're doing? Off the bed. Hey! Off the bed!
You gonna make us, Woody?
No. He is. Slinky! Slinky! Get up here and do your job! Are you deaf? I said take care of them!
I'm sorry, Woody, but I have to agree with them. I don't think what you did was right.
What? Am I hearing correctly? You don't think I was right? Who said your job was to think, Spring Wiener?
Well,
How do you make a selfish character likable? We realized, well, you can make him kind, generous, funny, considerate, as long as one condition is met for him, is that he stays the top toy. And that's what it really is that we all live life conditionally. We're all willing to play by the rules and follow things along as long as certain conditions are met. After that, all bets are off.
So, right there, Woody from Toy Story works because he's real. Just like real people, he's selfish and he has his quirks and he is imperfect, and not everything is wrapped up in this nice little bow. An example that I wanted to bring to light is, if you've ever seen the show The Office. Specifically a character, his name is Michael Scott. And if you've never seen The Office, Michael Scott is the regional manager of a paper company, and he's the main character of the show. However, Michael Scott says extremely offensive things at not the right time, and he is selfish and a little cringy and dumb, and I'll be honest, I've had to skip episodes because they are just too painful and cringy to sit through. However, this character has this unique superpower to 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 literally have you like agonizing in pain, um but you still love him, and the audience still loves him. And so many times through the series you find yourself loving him and almost relating to him in some way or another, or at least understanding why he does some of the things that he does. And you're almost involved in this relationship with this character, and he's personable to you, and the character is personable to you. And the my point is that he Michael Scott is not wrapped up in this perfect little bow. He is not this Disney character, that can do no wrong. He's very much a real person. I mean, I know a Michael Scott in real life. I'm sure you guys do too. Like an old boss of mine. Like how awkward and embarrassing I can think of, I certainly know a Michael Scott. So that's why I think that these characters work, and that's why I think that it's important and it pertains to dialogue, because these people, when they are telling you their stories, or when you're in an intense dialogue session or a deep conversation with somebody, you hear their quirks, or at least you can sense their quirks, right? And you hear their triumphs, and their daily life, and what they go through. And that's why these characters work so well. Okay, TED Talk number 2. I will not give you a lot of context to start off with this. I will just tell you the name. It's by somebody named Will Steven, and the name of the video is How to Sound Smart in Your TED Talk.
Hear that? That's nothing. Which is what I, as a speaker at today's conference, have for you all. I have nothing. Nada. Zip. Zilch. Zippo. Nothing smart. Nothing inspirational. Nothing even remotely researched at all. I have absolutely nothing to say whatsoever. And yet, through my manner of speaking, I will make it seem like I do. Like what I am saying is brilliant. And maybe, just maybe, you will feel like you've learned something. Now, I'm going to get started with the opening. I'm going to make a lot of hand gestures. I'm going to do this with my right hand. I'm going to do this with my left. I'm going to adjust my glasses. And then I'm going to ask you all a question. By show of hands, how many of you all have been asked a question before? Okay, great. I'm seeing some hands. And again, I have nothing here.
Okay, let me fast forward a little bit.
I'm going to make it intellectual. I'm going to bring it to this man right here. Now, what this man did was important, I'm sure. But I, for one, have no idea who he is. I simply Google image the word scientist. And now, you see, I'd like it to seem like I'm making points, building an argument, inspiring you to change your life, when in reality, this is just me buying time. Now, if you don't believe me, let's take a look at the numbers. This is a real thing that's happening right now. The number of talks that I'm giving is 1. Interesting facts imparted thus far in said talk, well, that's going to be a 0. My height in inches is 70.5. Note the 0.5 there. 2 times 6 equals 12. And then interestingly enough, 6 times 2 also equals 12. That's math. 3.
Okay, we'll pause there. So, hopefully you're getting the point. This is a masterclass on how perhaps delivery might be even more important than the material itself. So, clearly it's extremely silly and dramatized, but this is how people talk during influential speeches and something where they really have to get their point across. And when you're in a position like this, you have to use vocal variation to stay interesting. See how I'm leaning towards the camera to seem more interesting? See how I'm using body language and, again, strategic pauses where it's necessary because it keeps the audience engaged and it makes the message more memorable. If I were to just sit here like this and tell you guys, talk about my video like this, and maybe you would be completely disengaged. You would be bored out of your mind. You would not want to listen to me. And again, people are not going to remember every single thing that you say, but they will remember how you make them feel. And that is the main message of dialogue. So, why are effective speakers leaning into this performance? I don't think it's fake, or I wouldn't consider it as fake, at least. We do this every day and we don't even realize it. We're elevating our delivery to get our message across, which we do it all the time. So, let me just wrap up the video for you because I know you're going to want to see how it ends.
Names, things, words, and more things. And see, it feels like it might make sense, doesn't it? Like maybe, just maybe, I'm building to some sort of satisfying conclusion. I mean, I'm gesticulating as though I am. I'm pacing, I'm growing in intensity. I'm taking off my glasses, which, by the way, are just frames. I wore them to look smart, even though my vision is perfect. And now I'm going to slow things down a little bit. I'm going to change the tone. I'm going to make it seem like I'm building to a moment. And what if I was? Amazing, isn't it? What can you do? Life's a roller coaster. You know, if there's one thing you take away from my talk, I'd like you to think about what you heard at the beginning. And I'd like you to think about what you hear now. Because it was nothing, and it's still nothing. Think about that. Or don't, that's fine. And now I'm going to stop talking. Thank you.
Now, I'm not telling you to go into your next big business meeting or your next school presentation with absolutely no preparation or no material whatsoever, because although needed, delivery alone is not enough, right? When combined with that sincerity and that real life clarity and the stories, that's what makes it really powerful and really real. And that's what makes dialogue so special and really real. It's not about just sounding good or looking good. It's about the authenticity and it's about connecting with others, right? So, whether you're in a meeting or presenting a project or just having a conversation with somebody, know that you don't have to be the coolest person in the room because it's not about what you say, it's about how you make others feel. So, what did we learn from these two videos? Delivery is important, yes. However, that's easier said than done, right? Having the emotional intelligence to be able to analyze quickly and often quickly analyze a situation and be able to break down the situation and then break down what it needs and what needs to be said and the tone and the pacing. That's a lot easier said than done. And it comes with practice and it comes with life experience and it comes with I like how I said that. I hate how I messed that up. So, what did we learn from these two videos? Delivery is extremely important and successful delivery is important. However, that's easier said than done, right? Having the emotional intelligence to be able to see a situation, quickly analyze it, break down what the situation needs, what response the situation needs, the tone, the pacing, the volume level. This is not an easy thing to do. It happens very fast. It's always different. It's always based on complex emotions of human form. And again, it's easier said than done. It comes with wisdom and life experience and a lot of practice. And in the long run, there is no perfect dialogue. There is no perfect response because conversation is objective. A successful conversation is abstract. What respectful dialogue looks like in one culture could look completely different in another culture. So, again, I go back to it. I've said it 100 times now, but when you break it down, it's not about what you say. It's about how you make people feel. So, this week I challenge you to analyze your dialogue, analyze other people's dialogue and other people's conversations, analyze how you say things and how you react in situations. Do you pause before saying things? Do you get really loud when you're talking about something that you're passionate about? Do you fall back when there's an emotional situation happening? I challenge you to lean in and try to notice how these everyday messages are delivered. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for tuning in to The Dialogue Effect. If you like this episode, give this video a thumbs up, or better yet, start a dialogue or end a conversation with somebody in your life and tell them why you liked this video. Okay? Until next time, everyone, bye.